Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 17 of my channel, Psychology and Travels. I'm Antonia Frey, and in this episode I went camping at a music festival in the UK with Natalie, a good friend from college. Here's the footage, I hope you enjoy. We had quite a journey to get there, 16 hours in total. We reached the place around 4 a.m. and then had to wait 4 hours outside until they opened the gates. There are already so many people there. As it was just the two of us attempting to pitch the tent, we had a little rehearsal a few weeks prior to the departure so as to ensure that we know what we're doing. Within minutes, the camping site became full of colorful tents. You need to absolutely remember to bring the following items. I always tell my friends that I'm a reptile and I have low body temperature, which is why I need to bring very warm clothes, especially at night. We tried to fit in as much as possible with our hippie outfits and glitter faces. The whole place was very environmental friendly. There were no plastic items on the whole site of the festival. Most things were paper-based. In the personal development part of this episode, I'd like to talk to you about what I learned during my camping experience. My overall life philosophy is that you can learn something from anything. There are no mistakes, they're just learning experiences. Unless you die, you can always learn something. So to me, going camping at this festival was a challenge. My friend had been there before and she had talked to me about how cool it is, what a great time she had had, and so she asked me to tag along this year. It was a lot of self-discovery, a lot of figuring out what I like, what I don't like, what my resources are, what I can do. And it was also an exercise in simplicity, being disconnected from everything. When we didn't charge our phones, we didn't even know what time it was because we didn't wear any watches. And so it was more like going with the flow, observing the sunlight and testing my limits, because we were talking in the last episode that it's probably not a good idea to go over your limits once you identified them. But that was exactly the thing. In order to know what my limits were, I had to test them. So for a change, I actually traveled with somebody because I usually just travel on my own. And then Natalie, she offered to organize the whole trip. We had to pre-book our tickets way ahead in October last year, and we had to confirm them in April. And so my friend, she had already gone to the festival several times, so she knew the procedure really well. She just sent me her bank account details where I could transfer my share of the costs. It was really funny, she and her dad came to pick me up at noon, and we drove to the airport, and she's like, here's your boarding pass. I'm like, oh wow, everything been taken care of. And I was just enjoying the ride, and it was like, okay, well, thanks. I didn't ask many questions at first, so maybe I did not have the objective knowledge to compare it to my objective resources, but I did have a backup plan. So I have a friend who lives 2 hours away from the festival, and I told him that I was going to be there, and he agreed that in case anything went sideways, he would come and bail us out. So that gave me a lot of reassurance. Let me just tell the whole story from the beginning and highlight the challenges that we faced and the positive aspects that we enjoyed. So, challenge number 1. I had been a little nervous about taking a night bus, whether I could really deal with it and everything, but that went well. Essentially, the reason why we took a night bus was because we wanted to make sure that we would get there as early as possible so that we would pitch our tents at a very central location. My friend and I were discussing this beforehand, and we agreed that I was going to take a suitcase that was a stroller, and I would just roll because I didn't want to carry anything in my bag. Of course, I knew that it was going to get dirty because the place that we went to was actually a real farm. So they basically evacuated all the animals, so to say. I didn't mind the fact that my suitcase was going to get dirty, but I didn't realize that the grass was going to be so big and that the troller and its little wheels would get stuck in the grass and in the earth and would not be able to roll. So my suitcase weighed about 24 kilos. And that was camping equipment, so it's not like I carried so much stuff around. Like the distance between the place where the bus left us all the way to the center of the festival's location was about 20 minutes, like a 20-minute walk. And it was extremely hard with that suitcase. And alone for that, I probably wouldn't do this again. But yeah, so we managed in the end, and we pitched a tent, and then we could rest, and everything was fine. Challenge number 2. I'm not a glam girl, but I struggled a lot with the public restrooms. They did not employ any water, so they were operating on this compost system where you would just throw a cup of earth, albeit with an interesting design. Challenge number 3. Basically, because it was so warm during the festival, they just were not able to supply the hot water anymore, and they had to close down the showers for about 3 days. And that marked the last day of our stay at the festival, and then we went home. And in total, it was about 4 days without being able to take a shower, which for me was a huge challenge. And literally, when I came back home a couple of days ago, I looked like a swine. I would touch my face and just look at my fingers, and it was all dirty. And I don't think I've ever been that filthy in my entire life. The first 2 days were quiet, so we could walk around exploring the surroundings, see the food stands and all the accessories that they were selling. It was very colorful and nice. We really enjoyed the atmosphere. Really enjoyed the concerts. We saw great artists such as Janet Jackson, Kylie Minogue, Sheryl Crow, Liam Gallagher, Lauryn Hill, Carrie Underwood. The atmosphere was ecstatic, and you had so many people, like 135,000 people. They were all screaming, and it was really like you were part of this huge crowd. Unfortunately, I cannot post any of the concert material because of copyright issues. It was not my first time going camping, but it really was the first time that I had gone camping for so long, like 5 nights in a row. In case you're wondering, can you really sleep well in a tent? Yes, you can. If you have a tent that is impermeable and solid, you're protected from rain, you're protected from the wind. Basically outside, just make sure you have warm enough clothes for the night, and it's really beautiful to sleep outside. And you wake up and you feel refreshed because you smell the fresh air, and then it's not dirty. In case you're worried about that, rest assured, it's really pleasant, even comfortable. There was always stuff to do. You could check out the stands. It was all really colorful. There's so much music on the streets. And even at night, the music still was really loud, and people were talking and screaming and all those things, and I could still sleep well. I am sensitive, but for some reason I'm not bothered by flashy lights or really loud noises when I sleep, so that was a good thing. But if that's an issue for you, you might want to think twice about going camping at a festival site, because it's one thing to go camping in the woods or in the mountains where you're really quiet, and a completely different thing to be at a festival, because even if you have your little quiet private sphere inside the tent where you can retreat to whenever you want to, it's still, you're part of a huge crowd. There are thousands of tents around you and people talking, and you literally can hear everything. So that might get a bit disturbing. So I didn't mind, but you might. So just make sure you're aware of this. Thank you so much for watching. I wanted to interpose this episode with the festival before the one from Iceland. I actually went to Iceland on my birthday, which was in May. So in the following episode, I will show you footage from my trip to Iceland. I hope you'll stay tuned for that. Thank you again very, very much for watching. Please remember to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take very good care of yourselves and talk to you soon.